Hey, glad you're up. President-elect Donald Trump taking on this hot topic. It is hacking.
I don't want anyone hacking us. And I'm not only talking about countries, I'm talking about anyone, period. But if you're going to do that, I think you should not just say Russia, you should say other countries also, and maybe other individuals.
Especially China. But can he win the cyber war, which we surely will be a challenge to the next administration? Van Hipp is the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army, and who knows, might even be the next Secretary of the Army as we find out who's going to be on the Trump team. So you know this challenge, Van. How do we protect ourselves? We invented this stuff. How come we can't protect our stuff?
Let me tell you, Brian, it's the most complex national security challenge we've ever faced. We lose more intellectual property, our governments, our universities, our businesses every year just in the than is in the Library of Congress. And look what the Chinese are doing. The president-elect is right. Iran hacked into the Navy Marine Corps Internet program. Where was the outrage? How about the 23 million Americans whose Social Security numbers were stolen by the Chinese last year with the hack into the Office of Personnel Management? It's the fifth dimension of warfare. And the one national security challenge I believe we're the most unprepared for, but I believe this president-elect has got a real chance to win the cyber war.
And also we have the problem, too, with private companies. Are they waiting for the government to protect them against cyber warfare? I mean, they're investing in their people, the human resources. Are they investing in security? And Sony.
I don't think they are. And let me say this. It's killing us economically, and it's killing us from a national security standpoint. It's inflicting hundreds of billions of dollars of real damage economically and from a national security standpoint. And here's the biggest problem, Brian. We don't have enough cybersecurity experts in this country. We need about 30,000 to thwart the worst kind of attack on this country. We've only got about 1,000. I call for the establishment of national security scholarships in our universities and college campuses. Let's get the best kids we can to go into data security and computer science. And also, Brian, and this is key, we have to distinguish between what the Islamists do and the Chinese do. Two different types of cyber attacks requires two different types of countermeasures.
95% of the private companies hacked, you say, are from Chinese private companies, correct? Who knows if they're actually private, but...
We can track, and I've talked about this in my book that came out last year, The New Terrorism, How to Fight It and Defeat It. We can trace 90% of all Chinese cyber attacks to two groups. One's in Beijing, one's in Shanghai. And get a load of this. Chinese government says they have nothing to do with them. I say, great, let's call China's bluff on the world stage and say, China, we hear you've got nothing to do with these groups. Please join with us in declaring these organizations as cyber terrorist organizations. Let's go after them together.
And by the way, China is lining up how to destroy a satellite in the sky, which would wipe out all communication depending on what they hit. That is also alarming.
Absolutely. And look, we've got to do a number of things. I've taken a look, for example, at each of our military services, what they're doing. The one I'm the most impressed with is the Air Force. They have something called the CyberWorks Test Bed, where they are engaging the private sector in America. They're engaging academia, and they're identifying disruptive cyber technologies and building operational needs cases around them. We can win this thing.
He's a candidate to be the next Secretary of the Army. Let's hope that happens. Van Hipp, always great to have you on.
Merry Christmas.
All right, coming up straight, and we'll talk to him more on radio. Coming up next, Harry Reid slamming Mitt Romney for caving to the president-elect. But this morning, Mitt Romney is firing back. What's got into him? We're going to show you what he said and read it out loud. And it's perhaps one of the most unlikely duos in American politics. All eyes on Kanye West after a visit to Trump Tower. Should Donald Trump have picked him as vice president? Carly Shimkus has her opinion. She'll be joining us with her social media reaction like only she can.
The whole world is recognizing our movement. It's because of you. We're going to win a lot. We're going to win so much, you're going to go to Paul Ryan, you're going to go, Mr. Speaker, please, please, we can't stand winning this much. We can't take it. We're going to work so hard for you. We don't like seeing people burning our American flag, okay? We don't like it. Believe me, and I'm saying this from the heart, this is me to you. This is not reading anything, no speeches, no nothing. This is me to you. I say it to the heart. God bless you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. God bless you. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you. Thank you.
The music came in perfectly on cue. Donald Trump wrapped up a 55-minute speech, a lot of which was looking back at the victory that was improbable, unthinkable, and how it unfolded through his eyes. And the crowd ate it up.
He said, "Who won Wisconsin? Who won in Wisconsin?" Basically, I did. I love the podium. The podium has all those messages on it right there. You have Merry Christmas. You have USA. Maybe a God bless. What else is on there?
How about the message behind him with all those Christmas trees?
Right, right.
And Mike Pence right there. It was officially part of the Thank You America tour, but it sure felt like we're just about less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. There he was with Mike Pence and the entire Republican delegation to Washington, D.C. on the Republican side at the State Fair Expo in West Allis. Donald Trump, who I'm going to be a little selfish. I wish he had one of these speeches every night, because they are so entertaining. But it's kind of a combination of a victory lap, but also a pep rally. Folks, in less than a month, I'm going to be in charge, and this is what we're going to get done.
I don't know how Bill O'Reilly would feel about that, though, because I think they're always during his show.
Yeah, they gutted his show. There was Gut Phil sitting there ready to get cute. He's like, nope, going Trump.
That's okay. Give the people what they want. I just think it's something we have never seen before, where we're watching what the president-elect of the United States has got in mind in real time.
See, and Republicans are always saying, give him a chance to the Democrats that didn't vote for him. And now he's meeting with so many different Democrats, and he's hearing their voices, and he wants to be able to change the country in a positive way, having opinions from all sides.
That's
right. In fact, here's a little of that last night's speech.
Would anybody like to keep it the way it is? I don't think. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win a lot. We're going to win so much, you're going to go to Paul Ryan, you're going to go, Mr. Speaker, please, please, we can't stand winning this much. We can't take it. And he's going to come to see me and he's going to, Mr. President, the people in Wisconsin are tired of winning so much. You're winning with health care. We're winning on the border. We're winning with ISIS, because we are going to get ISIS out. We're winning all over, Mr. President. They just can't take it anymore. I say, Paul, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have to go back and tell them we're going to keep winning and winning and winning, whether they like it or not.
Actually, he won by more than he did on election night, because thanks to that stupid recount out there and Jill Stein, Donald Trump actually has 131 more votes than he did on election night, and he pointed that out as well.
In case you don't remember, this doesn't happen. For the most part, a president-elect usually goes underground. I think the most sensational thing happened in 2008 when Hillary Clinton jettisons out to Chicago to meet with Barack Obama, and then she would eventually get offered the Secretary of State. That was intriguing. There's more intrigue than that goes on every 45 minutes, one block away on Fifth Avenue.
I think, too, because everyone wanted transparency. Remember, President Obama kept saying transparency, transparency, and you didn't get that, and that's what America's craving. And if you want someone who's going to be transparent, it's Donald Trump. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks.
Well,
but when we've been out on the road with him, and we've talked to some of you guys that go to these rallies, you've all said you're upset with the people that didn't support him. There were Republicans that did not support Donald Trump. You couldn't get over it, and you can't get past it. And I was asking people, who do you want as Secretary of State, when Mitt Romney was in the running? And everyone I talked to in the crowds at one of his rallies, the first thank you rally, they said absolutely not. And we did that poll, that poll that said 6% of you guys wanted Mitt Romney. Everyone wanted Rudy Giuliani, because you all appreciate the loyalty. One person who was loyal at first was Paul Ryan, and then when that tape came out, Donald Trump on the bus, he said, you know what, I'll vote for him, but I'm not going to be out on the campaign trail.
Keep in mind, Paul Ryan ran with Mitt Romney. They were in a war. Keep in mind, Paul Ryan is good friends with Governor Scott Walker, and they were in a war with Donald Trump. So when he got the nomination, Paul Ryan was up and down. But last night, all up.
I'll come shade him. Speaker Paul Ryan. Where's the Speaker? Where is he? He has been, I'll tell you, he has been terrific. And you know, honestly, he's like a fine wine. Every day goes by, I get to appreciate his genius more and more. Now, if he ever goes against me, I'm not going to say that, okay? He's a great guy, and we have some amazing things in store. And we're going to work on taxes. We're going to work on Obamacare. We're going to work on things, and he's going to lead the way. So thank you. We're going to work on the wall, Paul.
But he's
right.
got to
Just
focus on
reminding
tax
him.
reform.
Because Paul Ryan, of course, very famously says, yeah, we want to secure the border, but maybe that doesn't mean a wall. Paul Ryan was not very helpful in the run-up to the election, but now Donald Trump says it's like a fine wine, which is interesting because Donald Trump does not drink.
Right. It's like a fine wine gets better, but he does have a winery. So that's what he means.
I think part of it is you have to get used to it in the beginning,
Right.
and now he's getting used to it.
Better with age, better with time.
Just so you know, if you want tax reform, if you want to balance the budget, you want to get a budget passed, you want to talk about health care, he's the one-stop shopping. Remember, on the Simpson Bowles Committee, Paul Ryan wowed both Democrats and Republicans, and he's a disciple of Jack Kemp. So if you're going to balance that budget, it's going to go through
And
Paul
with
Ryan.
Obamacare, because Donald Trump likes his plan to repeal and replace, and he knows everything about Obamacare.
Well, the problem with the tax reform, though, is the fact that Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell have both come out and said, I'm not so sure about that because we don't want to add anything to the deficit. Donald Trump has made it very clear he wants to have the biggest tax cut we have seen in decades, particularly for the middle class. So there actually could be a little clash betwixt Donald Trump and the Republican leadership. But at least last night in West Dallas, they were all kumbaya.
Yeah, maybe something besides growth. But, you know, Paul Ryan is somebody, he's a big cutter, too. Meanwhile, Dobie on Twitter said this: keep in mind, even the best wine can go bad. He's obviously not convinced. And Brian says,
The president-elect of the United States.
Keep your promises and continue to pick the best and brightest. So far on target to make America great again.
All right. Meanwhile, it is official. Fox News has learned. We'd heard about it for a couple of days. Rick Perry, the former governor, the longest-running governor in the state of Texas history, will be the Secretary of Energy. And, of course, you think, well, you know, that makes sense because Texas is a big energy producer. You know, the Department of Energy is busy. They're involved not only in energy research, but managing our nation's stockpile of nuclear weapons and environmental cleanup. And it does sound like some of the green groups, not crazy about him, said he's unfit to run the department. However, when he was governor of Texas, he led the country, Texas did, in wind generation and other renewable sources of power. So suddenly it's like, wait a minute. He's not such a bad guy after all.
Well, he has all those contacts in Texas, too. All these big players in the oil industry. He'll have a leading role in designing nuclear weapons, thwarting their proliferation, ensuring safety, and rehabilitating the nuclear arsenal. It's a big job.
The one thing you keep hearing about is how deteriorated and how in disrepair we find out our nuclear arsenal's in, which is disturbing on many fronts. So that's going to be, he's going to need money to be able to do that. I know he'll have the focus, and I think he's ready for another challenge after doing 3 successful terms as Texas governor. The other person who's very impressive is Ryan Zinke, the college football star, turned Navy SEAL, 23 years, became a congressman, and knows the outdoors, and now he's got a big job, Interior Secretary.
And loves his wife. He was in here yesterday talking about how he walked up there, right there with his wife. He said they've been married, I think he said 20 years. And that Donald Trump was asking her so many questions, engaging her as well. And then even in the soundbite we played an hour ago, he talked about the love of my life. So we like a guy like that.
Congressman McMorris evidently was going to get this.
Kathy
McMorris was going to get this, but he evidently was such an impressive interview, he pushed ahead of her and got the nod yesterday.
So if we have there you've got, as you can see, the scoreboard, the faces that have not been filled in. Actually, the upper right is blank. That should show Ryan Zinke. So the big two are agriculture in the middle, and then on the bottom you've got VA, Veterans Affairs.
The reason it's blank, Steve, is because it hasn't been made official yet. Until we hear it come from Donald Trump's mouth, it's not official.
All right, so we're not going to put the face in until we hear it officially.
Just picture Zinke's
Now,
face.
if it's not Donald Trump, what if we hear it from Kanye West? Well, that
That doesn't count, no.
Absolutely.
Just curious.
But one of the people that visited, Jim Brown, he'll be with us in about 90 minutes. And next, we're going to be talking about the Secretary of State position, possibly the most intriguing selection yet.
He was not on Trump's radar at all until he sat down with Bob Gates, and Bob Gates said, look, I'm involved with this guy. And then he called up Condi Rice on the phone and said, yes, sir. And then at that point, it had been 100. He was 95% for Mitt Romney. Did a 180, just like that.
I like his story. He was an engineer with the company, with Exxon, and then worked his way up.
Right,
Fantastic.
and we are for working our way up. And so let's just work our way over to Heather Nauert.
We like to go up and over.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. Thank you. I've got a new report coming in from overseas, and it is a disturbing one. A Fox News alert. ISIS terrorists buying an arsenal of military-grade weapons on what's an industrial scale. The alarming new report out of the UK says that extremists are manufacturing and stocking explosives, rockets, and also drones in bulk. The majority of the materials coming from factories in Turkey. A new report also says that ISIS is producing ammunition at an unprecedented rate. More on that story as we get it. Outrage now boiling over as the largest sanctuary city in the United States doubles down on keeping illegals, including convicted criminals, in the United States. And guess who is footing the bill? You are, taxpayers. San Francisco defying the president-elect's proposed plan to deport illegals and instead wants to set up a $5 million slush fund to protect and defend those illegals and help them stay here in the country. There are about 44,000 illegals in the city of San Francisco alone. Chicago also set up a similar fund under its mayor, Rahm Emanuel. Heartbreak and shock rocking Hollywood this morning. The actor Alan Thicke, so many of us grew up with him, best known as the iconic dad on the 80s sitcom Growing Pains, has now died.
Show me that smile. Don't waste another minute on your
While he was playing hockey with his 19-year-old son. In addition to acting, Thicke is also remembered as an accomplished songwriter and composer. Among his work, theme songs, those different. He was a friend of the show. You all had spent some time with him.
We played tennis with him down at the Chris Everett event.
What a loss.
Also a former late night host. Thanks a lot, Heather. Meanwhile, 12 minutes after the hour.
President-elect Donald Trump making it official. ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson, that man right there, is his pick for Secretary of State. Our next guest was Assistant Secretary of State, and he says this pick fits the bill more than the left would like you to believe. We're going to talk to him.
And 'tis the season to be angry?
Out of glue.
You use up all the glue on purpose.
The startling stat we just found out about.
Fragile.
Put down my lamp.
So who is that guy, and what should the American people know about him?
Well, let's ask Robert Charles, who served as the Assistant Secretary of State under President George W. Bush. Good morning, Mr. Charles. Great to see you.
Good morning.
So what do you know about Rex Tillerson, and why is he a good choice?
So I think he's an excellent choice for a number of reasons. I think he's well-reasoned, and I think he's also hopeful. Why? He's an internationalist. Exxon has programs all over the world, in just about every country of the world. And diplomacy ultimately boils down to trust, and I think he has proven over decades that he is a trusted entity all over the world. You know, it's very easy to imagine that anybody could do that job, but it's a job that requires being able to go one-on-one with somebody, look them in the eye, and get to an agreement on an outcome. And what has he done for several decades? He has been generating outcomes, not just pushing paper, not a Johnny-come-lately diplomat. He is somebody who has walked the walk. So net, I think he's going to be a great manager at the State Department. I think he knows these cultures, and I think it was actually a brilliant out-of-the-box choice.
And when you talk about out of the box, you told our producer yesterday that he reminds you of, for instance, John Foster Dulles or Colin Powell, who are both Secretary of State. In what way?
Well, all of these successful secretaries of state come with obviously a confluence or a combination of a lot of capabilities. The thing about this particular candidate, and again, I don't know him personally, but looking at his record closely, he brings the combination of being able to go one-on-one with somebody in a way that is persuasive and convincing and has authority. I would say he's even closer in many ways to George Shultz, who came out of Bechtel. Powell was great managing people. I think one of the great things about this guy is he has the ability, Tillerson, to manage groups of people. And inside the State Department, that may be his biggest negotiating challenge of all. You've got to bring Foreign Service officers together with civil servants, together with political appointees. And he's proven to be a great manager, and I think that's got to be a plus.
And now let's fast forward to the confirmation proceedings, and some of the weaknesses perhaps might be looked at: his dealings with repressive regimes, especially in Africa, and of course his friendship award with Russian President Vladimir Putin. As Senator John McCain said yesterday, I'd never get an award from Vladimir Putin. He's a murderer and a thug. Your reaction?
You know, I think you have to take a longer view on this. This is an individual who for 2 decades has managed programs in Russia and the Caspian Sea. As Ronald Reagan would tell you, we have an awful lot in common with the Russian people. And at the end of the day, it's a very difficult culture to negotiate with. The Russians have a peculiar way of looking at the world. And I think he's very well suited to do that. You know, it doesn't bother me in the least. You're talking about a cabinet that is now likely to have sitting with him Generals Kelly, Mattis, Flynn. National security will not be an issue that he can't get good counsel
And Robert, they are rejoicing in Russia with his nomination. Maybe it'll bring the two countries together. Robert Charles, thank you.
Sure. I would just say, remember, Ukraine and Syria may end up better negotiated with a better solution out of all this with him there than anybody else.
Well, it couldn't be worse than what we got. All right, Robert Charles?
That's right.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
Thank you. Donald Trump says it is time to bring Christmas back to the White House.
We are going to say Merry Christmas again.
The great actor Kevin Sorbo says that he wants to help spread the Christmas cheer, and he is starting here next. Time now for your news by the numbers. First, 107 hours. That is how long going to be until
Take your Kohl's cash.
Next, 4. According to a new study, that is how many fights the average couple has every day in December.
Really?
Every day.
Fantastic.
The glue.
We're out of glue.
You use up all the glue on purpose.
All right, so 'tis the season for fighting. Just embrace the fighting because it's inevitable. January is reportedly a very popular month for divorce. So just wait till February. It'll all be over. And finally,
No kidding.
1.
Is that the guy?
Number 1, is that what? Sundance, the Texas native, is the 5th person coached by Blake Shelton to win the singing competition.
I tell you, I saw him at the end. He is phenomenal. And
Yeah,
that's
he
my
is
personal
good.
opinion.
He
Well,
wins.
he won.
No
All right,
kidding.
good.
And he's going to get sick of winning.
He's going to get so tired.
Ryan,
of
you
winning.
got your Christmas wish.
Yes.
And Donald Trump delivering a very special Christmas message in Wisconsin last night.
We are going to say Merry Christmas again. Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Evan. Happy New Year, but Merry Christmas.
He threw in a Happy New Year, too.
President-elect vowing to bring Christmas back to America. Here to react is actor Kevin Sorbo. Kevin, welcome back.
It's good to be back, always.
During this Christmas season, we've got all these holiday things around us.
The holiday things, yes.
What do you make of Trump saying, you know, enough of the happy holidays, let's go back to Merry Christmas?
I think it's great. I get tired of it. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I go shopping and I go in these big mall stores and stuff, and people say happy holidays. I'm sure the employees are told they have to say that.
Absolutely.
And I hear most of the time people say, and a Merry Christmas to you. And I say the same thing back. Okay, I got buddies who are agnostic or atheists, and they still buy the Christmas tree. Of course, they call it the holiday tree. And I go, why do you buy that? Well, my kids, you know, they see other kids and stuff. I go, well, you don't believe in it, so why do you invest that time and energy into it?
Kid pressure.
I guess it's the peer pressure from their kids.
It's fun being friends with Kevin Sorbo. I'm challenged every second of my life. Now, you have a movie coming out. I can't figure out what it's about. It's called Joseph and Mary. What's the theme?
I play Joseph.
Get out of
lose my voice. I play Joseph. He's the stepdad to a kid named Jesus, in case you don't know who he is. Google him. There's a lot of stuff on him. It's out there now. It's on VOD, DVD, Walmart, Target, all that stuff. We shot in Canada. We shot in
the Holy Land,
North Bay.
Yeah.
It's about 4 hours north of Toronto, and it was like. And I said, "How is this going to double for Bethlehem?" But they did an amazing job, I got to say.
Joseph doesn't get enough focus.
He doesn't. And I think that was the reason for part of the movie.
I've never heard him called the stepdad, but I guess you're right.
Well, in a way.
Yeah,
you know,
you're right.
So,
you're right.
But it was interesting. It was a lot of fun to be part of that.
Well, I wish we had a clip.
Well, it's funny you should ask.
Why is that?
Your wish has been granted.
Yeah.
Take a look.
God's messenger said that this child would bring a great light into this world. I feel blessed, but I don't understand why he chose me.
You will make a wonderful father.
Your inner peace can only come from forgiveness. Do not have to slay your enemy. Instead, let the hand of God tend to him.
And that's the movie in 10 seconds, right? There you go.
There you go.
I never saw that myself.
Where can
We
we
know
watch
the
it?
story.
We do know the story.
Where can we
It's true.
see it, Kevin?
It is. You can get it. It's on DVD now. So you can get it. I believe it might be on Netflix right now, but I know it's on VOD, it's on DVD, it's on Amazon, it's Walmart. So please check it out. It's a good Christmas movie. And with my other Christmas movies, please get the Santa suit. I gotta get a plug for
Why
that.
is it important to you? You continuously do these faith-based movies. I'm sure that's hard, being an actor in Hollywood. Hercules.
They love me in Hollywood.
So why is it important for you to do these faith-based movies?
You know what? There's between New York and California, they call them the flyover states. There's a lot of people with values and morals and strong Christian views out there, and these movies have really caught on. You'll go back to what Jim Caviezel did back with The Passion, but then you look at The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock, and since then, I think a lot of this world has taken off in a positive way.
You watched the interview earlier when we were talking about that city in Indiana that is taking the cross off the Christmas tree. What's your thought?
One person, right? Why does one person get all the liberals are complaining about the number of people voting. How about the millions of people that say, well, that cross should stay up, but one person gets to take that down?
But you know what the cities and the schools say. They say, oh, somebody's going to, if we wind up in court, it's going to cost us too much.
But
let's just
here's the thing, everybody gets offended by something. Doesn't matter why. Every time I watch a football game, I get mad at the call against my Vikings. So, girl's mad about something. I'm going to sue is what I'm going to do. And by the way, my best, the Alan Thicke family, I just golfed with him a month ago.
Yeah.
So I was shocked. I saw it on you guys here.
He was a fit guy. Shape, right?
He just told me about his hockey game the day before we played golf. And so this just blew me away.
So you're really good friends with him. What's he like?
He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Easygoing guy. Cool.
Competitor, though. When he plays to win.
Yeah, so do I. but great guy. And I was shocked by this morning. I had no idea.
For the folks just waking up, Alan Thicke died yesterday in Hollywood. He was playing basketball with his son.
Hockey with his son.
Hockey, with his son.
And he had a heart attack?
Terrible.
Had a heart attack.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Thanks, and I look forward to seeing your movie.
My pleasure.
DVD.
I gave you a copy right there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Right.
There's always an invoice in the break, and I'm willing to pay. Meanwhile, straight ahead, Harry Reid slamming Mitt Romney for caving to the president-elect. But this morning, Mitt is firing back. We promise you're going to like the Mormon on Mormon anger.
Meanwhile, The Rock cooking up some Christmas cheer for our troops. What did the actor just do for our heroes? You know what? That is going to rock you and rock your Thursdays.
This is our country.
Guys, this morning Trump announced that he's nominating ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson to be his Secretary of State, even though Rex supposed friendly said, Putin and I aren't friends, while Putin said, that is so something Rex would say. It's like, classic Rex.
It's Jimmy Fallon last night. So the other big story was the runner-up clearly was Mitt Romney. So he was actually leading this, according to the Washington Post today, he was actually leading the Derby to become the next Secretary of State upon further review. Rudy was first for a while. Then reportedly they were worried about Rudy's endurance at 72 years old. Did he want to really be traveling the globe at that age? So Mitt Romney and Donald Trump.
That's old.
Well, not that it's old, but it seemed, it was a concern, I guess. Yeah. But Mitt Romney interviewed well. They really hit it off when they met one-on-one, when they talked on the phone. But then something happened along the way. So Romney was the runner-up and tweeted out something very nice yesterday. Sure. But that's not how it ended.
Well, keep in mind, back in 2020, Harry Reid said Mitt Romney didn't pay taxes for something like 10 years.
2012.
Of course, he said that from the floor of the Senate, and you can't be held legally responsible for that. Later, Harry Reid was asked, do you regret that? And he said, absolutely not. Romney didn't win, did he? He said it was the best thing he ever said. Fast forward to when Mr. Reid was...
So it's okay to lie?
Well, apparently, if that ultimately
if it helps
fits
you win your narrative,
political...
right. So this was the quote in the Huffington Post from Harry Reid. Mitt Romney is somebody I had respect for. I have none anymore. This is a man who came out big time against Trump. Oh, the things he said about Trump. Well, that's great. That's wonderful. Either he wasn't telling the truth or he's a person with no character. After having said that, I go to do homage to this guy he said awful things about. I don't think that shows much character. Coming from the guy who lied about the taxes.
So he lied about Mitt Romney, but he had respect for Mitt Romney until Mitt Romney started talking to Donald Trump about the Secretary of State job.
So Romney responded strongly. He says, as for Mr. Reid, I lost respect for him when he repeatedly lied about my taxes and later admitted to it cheerily. Good riddance, Mr. Reid. The Senate will be better served without you in it. Mitt Romney is getting fiery in his post-run for the presidency.
He's turning into Donald Trump.
Right.
He's learning from Trump after those meetings.
Very good.
My hunch is, after a couple of years, when people forget about how bitter the rivalry was between them, even though Donald Trump has turned the page, his supporters will. I think he plays a role somewhere in there.
Maybe,
We'll see.
because he's got plenty of time on his hands and he loves public service. All right, and that right there, good riddance, Harry Reid, that's probably a banner we didn't really think we'd ever see. But there it was, but now it's gone.
All right, but you know who's here? Heather Nauert.
Yeah,
Heather, do
and-
you have something important to say?
Well, in fact, speaking of Harry Reid, that's what my first story is. So let's get right to that. Harry Reid says the reports of Russian hacking are as big as the Watergate scandal, and now he is calling for a 9/11 commission-type panel to investigate that. Reid's colleague, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, also says that she wants a full probe.
Even if it didn't succeed, even if Hillary Clinton had won, it's still very important for us to have an investigation. I prefer an outside, bipartisan commission to review it.
Well, the Director of National Intelligence says that there is no evidence to back up the CIA's hacking report. Lots of conflicting opinions on this story. Well, new DNA testing could help solve a case that has captivated the country for 20 years now, the murder of little John Benet Ramsey in Colorado. A joint investigation uncovering serious flaws on testing key evidence in the past, including what the 6-year-old girl was wearing when she died on Christmas night. Now, the new testing will be conducted with more sophisticated and sensitive kits, we are told. We'll keep following that story and bringing the latest as we get it. The PC police now hitting the baseball diamond. This is an unreal story. An age-old ritual, dressing up as rookies as women, has now been banned. Major League Baseball creating a new anti-hazing and anti-bullying policy, prohibiting players from wearing costumes that may offend some people. There they are, dressed up as Hooters girls. Oh gosh. Well, the New York Mets had players dress up like the cast of the movie A League of Their Own. The league's VP says the new rules are a result of outrage on social media, saying the outfits are insensitive. What do you all think about that? Gosh, they're just having a little fun. Well, bringing holiday cheer to those who fight for our freedom. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson hosting the first ever Rock the Troops event for military families. Check this out.
Let us all stand together as one and salute you, our troops, for everything you do. We say thank you.
Look at that crowd right there. Amazing. 50,000, that is in Hawaii, 50,000 service members packing the Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam in Hawaii. Tons of celebs taking part in the show, including Matthew McConaughey. That's great. And we saw the bride there. We've got to get the latest on that story.
Someone got married.
She got married or engaged or something.
Maybe like it looked like one of the soldiers got married to his wife right there on the stage.
I didn't know there were that many people in Hawaii.
I know.
Oh, there's a lot of people.
That's awesome.
They must have emptied out all the islands.
Yeah, look at that. How cool that looks with the planes in the
You
back.
know what? The Rock makes a very good-looking bald Elvis.
Okay, look how big his arms are. I mean, I wonder if you put your hands around his arm, if it's
That is why he was just named People Magazine's sexiest man alive.
I have a friend that knows him, says he lifts weights.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure.
Could be.
I'm trying to find out for sure.
It's a very smart friend.
Right.
Anyway, it's great that they put on that big show out in Hawaii.
All right. He was just born husky. All right, straight ahead. Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy joined the president-elect on his thank you tour last night. Next hour, he'll join us to talk about the Rust Belt voters who helped push Republicans over the top.
And it's a season for giving to others, but our next guest says you should be giving to yourself
Yes,
as well.
about time.
Financial expert Chris Hogan answers your email on the Money Matters. Coming up next.
You better shop around.